My name is Donald Hovis. I am your CWRAP host, and I'm from the Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Today, we're pleased to be joined by lawyer Lisa Hostetler Brown, who's going to be talking to us about all things elder law in a few minutes. But first, we'll go over some announcements. Up first, very good crowd in here today. Please make sure your lines are muted. Please mute your lines. Mary, I've also made you a co-host for the waiting room. Awesome. Okay. So, almost the end of September. We want to hear what you're doing. Has your football team won? Has your football team lost? How's your football team doing? Right? Should be after 2 games, maybe 3. Hey. So in the chat box, let's do this. Your name, your Rotary Club, whether you're happy about your football team after 2 weeks or you're not so happy about your football team after 2 weeks. And then also answer this question of, do you know what type of pizza day is today? Today is National Something Pizza Day. Put that in the chat box as well. Okay, here is the bio on our wonderful speaker who has been set up by Mary Gass. So Mary, thank you again for doing that. And I will also say before the bio, please mute your lines, folks. Mute your lines. I will also say our District Governor, Paul Walter, is in attendance today. So welcome back, Paul. I will let you give a shout out on the conference at the end of the call today. Okay, here we go. Lisa Hostetler Brown is the managing attorney of Lawyer Lisa LLC. Her firm concentrates on the areas of estate planning, wills and trust, real estate, contract review, special needs trust, and probate law. Lawyers Lisa's focus is to better serve her clients in an easy to understand and accessible manner. Lisa has been recognized for consecutive years as a super lawyer rising star, in addition to Legal Elite of the Midlands. Lisa was recognized as a 2019 Phenom honoree by the Columbia Regional Business Report, as well as an inaugural recipient of the South Carolina Women in Business Award by Columbus Business Monthly. Lisa is also certified as an elder law attorney by the National Elder Law Foundation. Lisa currently resides in Irmo with her family. Let's give a warm welcome to CWRAP to Lisa Hostetler Brown.
Thank you.
And you may share your screen at this time.
All right, let's see if it still works. All right, nod yes if you can see.
You're good.
All right, good. Okay, so we're going to talk today about a kind of a quick estate planning, elder law, some things for you to think about for yourself or your family. Try and give you some tips and tricks and kind of the things that we see that maybe can help you with any situation that might be arising for anyone that you know. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, why should you plan? This is kind of a big thing that comes up. I actually will have a lot of clients or potential clients come in and say, you know, for instance, I just had somebody come in not that long ago and they said, you know, my aunt now has dementia. We know we need to come in and get a power of attorney now so we can help with her stuff. And no, you can't do that. It's too late. So it's really important to make sure you're planning ahead because it's so much less expensive. It's so much easier. You have so much more self-determination when you're doing that. Like for example, this lady that came in for her aunt, the alternative now, because the aunt already has diminished capacity to the point where she can't make her own decisions. Now at this point, we have to go forward with a conservatorship through the probate court. And those are not quick. You know how everything is with COVID, you know, everything's slower, everything takes longer, and the courts are no exception to that either. we've had a round of courts close back down now for this kind of second round of COVID. Dorchester County, their security guards, I don't know if they got positives or one person had a positive, and they didn't have enough security to have the courthouse open through the end of the week. So, we're seeing those kinds of things now. So you don't want to be kind of at the mercy of the system when, if you can plan ahead, have your own documents, that if there is an emergency, if something is happening, if you do need to do critical time sensitive planning, you can do it if you've got your documents in place. Obviously, the expense is another big one. When people come in and do estate planning with an estate planning attorney, they're going to be paying generally a lot less money overall than if they're doing something that's an emergency or something that involves having to go to court. That's obviously going to cost more money. So, the lower cost is a big thing too. Family relationships. That's a huge one that is often overlooked. So if you've got 4 children and you know that I want my first child to be first and my second child to be second, and you can put that in a document that's you with your own self-determination and your voice saying who you want making these decisions for you in the event that you can't do it, it's really critical that you go ahead and do that, because later on, if it goes to court, because that's really the only other alternative, it's going to be 4 kids fighting. And what did mom want? Or I live closer, but she's out of state. And there's all these things that kind of get rolled into it. So if it can be in your own voice, it's much more likely for the children to respect that and to follow your wishes. Now, that's not always guaranteed, but it's much more likely to preserve the relationship between the family members if you can say it and it's in your own words and in your own documents. Eliminating court requirements for notice. This is a big one if you have any family members that you don't want to have involved. If you're separated from your spouse has top priority. Make sure that you have your documents updated if that's the case. If you have a child that you don't get along with or that you don't communicate with, or they have their own issues, you don't want them to be the one making decisions for you. You need to make sure that you're putting this in your documents. Otherwise, they're going to have equal priority with the other ones, and it comes to like a court thing, and that's not really where you want that sorted out. Again, just eliminating probate issues. If you have your documents set up a certain way, you can avoid your assets and your estate going through probate too after you pass away, not just this lifetime determination. So, making sure that, like, for example, if you own real estate in the Midlands, and then you've got a mountain house in the mountains, and you've got, a couple acres that you inherited in another county, that's 3 separate probate administrations that your family would have to go through after you pass away. Whereas if you did some planning, there could be no probate administrations. So planning ahead is really important to kind of eliminating all this excess. Cutting out unwanted heirs. I know it might not sound very nice, but there could be a variety of reasons why you don't want to leave something to a person who the government would otherwise leave your stuff to if you didn't plan ahead. So like I always tell people, if you don't make your own estate plan, the government has one for you. And we'll use South Carolina because I'm here in South Carolina. But if you're sitting in South Carolina and you're a resident of South Carolina, the government is making a plan for you if you have not made your own plan. Or if you have documents that say, let the government update this and update that, and it will update my plans. Some documents reference South Carolina code sections. So as those things change, your plan may be changing and you may not realize it. So having all of that prescribed in your documents can be really important to protect yourself and your family from some unintended consequences. Just like cutting out unwanted heirs, it's including people that you want to include. So for example, if you are raising a grandchild, if you have stepchildren, those are not people that would normally take under the law. And if you want to include them in your plan, you have to be proactive and make your own plan. The government plan doesn't do that for you. Naming a proposed guardian. You all probably, most of the people that I can see on the screen probably don't have children under the age of 18. I do, right? So if something happened to me and my husband and I wanted to have a say on who I thought should be the guardians for my children that are under 18, then I'd want to put that in my documents so that they can have some priority to serve. Choosing your own agents, right? Like, what if your kids aren't the best people to serve? What if your one child or two children aren't really good with money? You don't want to put them in charge of your finances. And by default, they might be the next people to serve, but you might say, that is not a good idea. And if you're alive, you need that money to pay for your care. So if you don't want things going to them to be in charge and you want to name someone else, maybe you've got a sister that's really responsible and healthy and maybe has some longevity. Maybe we want to pick her instead. Maybe you've got a niece that's really great with finances. Maybe she's a lawyer and you want to use her. You know, there's other people that might be better and we want to put that in there. Otherwise, they're too low in priority generally to get picked through the court process. And then we've got dealing with potentially sticky situations. If you know that there could be a problem and you want to head it off, then now is the time to make sure that you are making that plan, because we can eliminate a lot of things that people fight over. Let's say you have a house and you have 4 kids and you don't want all 4 kids owning that house together and having to deal with, you know, if they're going to keep it or sell it. Maybe one of the kids is living in the house and you want to provide for that. Make those plans in advance. It's going to be so much easier on the back end and avoid potential problems later. So these are all really important things that we want to be thinking about. Now, here's just like a quick list of the documents that you need to make sure that you have. So this is your list. If you are going, I don't know if I have that, you really need to look at it and maybe go meet with a lawyer and talk about these things, because the healthcare power of attorney is going to say who should be making those critical healthcare decisions. And one of the things that your healthcare agent does that a lot of people don't think about is they are the ones that will decide if you should be aging at home or moving to a facility. And if you have a strong preference about how your life and your care should go as you age, and you want somebody that has your same decisions about those things, like if you've got a daughter that says, yes, mom, I'll keep you at home, or yeah, dad, I know that, you know, you don't want to be kept alive in these situations. Make sure those are the people that you're picking, because they're the ones that can ultimately make those decisions for you. And this doesn't have to be your spouse. You know, your spouse has a higher priority, but maybe your spouse is getting a little bit of dementia or aging or has a different view on things or not good with money. Maybe you want somebody else doing that. That's why it's important to have these documents done. And then another thing, even though it's not one of your essential documents, I would strongly recommend looking into a trust. If you've got, you know, some property, maybe you own real estate, if you have a vehicle that's in your name, and maybe you've got some investments or retirement or some other, you know, bank accounts, that's really all you need to make a trust make sense for you. Because what a trust does is it allows you to hold these assets into a separate entity that does not die when you die. So if I pass away tomorrow and I've got a bank account that has my name on it, it's not going to automatically be available for my spouse to make funeral arrangements and pay bills and do the things that he needs to do. It would, if it was in a trust, it's immediately available the second after. So those are important distinctions as we age, as we become older, as we might need assistance with these things, making things as easy as possible on the people who are assisting you as you age and then after you pass away. You know, a trust is a really good vehicle for that. A will is a ticket to court. So I want everyone to remember that. If you have assets that are going through your will, remember, a will means we're going to court if we have to use your will. If we're not using a will, it's going through a trust or through beneficiary designations, and usually we kind of use a combination of those things, then we don't have to go to court. It's a lot easier. It's quicker. It's less expensive. It's easier on your family. People hug me when they find out that we did a plan that doesn't involve going to court. Now, can we foresee every possible situation? Absolutely not. If you've got kids that are litigious, that like to fight about stuff, they're going to fight over your stuff, even if I've set it up the best way possible. But we can make sure that they don't win. We can make sure that it's limited. We can do the best we can to protect what your wishes are. And then this is just a little overview about there's different types of trust. A lot of people think of trust, they think about having a bunch of money, being multimillionaires. You don't have to be a multimillionaire. You don't have to be doing tax planning with your trust. You can get a trust that has great tax benefits, right? You can still maintain your legal residence on your house. You still can get taxed at the good rates that you're getting as a person, but you can avoid probate. We generally use a revocable trust for that. A joint revocable trust is generally used if it's you and your spouse. It's just a revocable trust if it's just for you. Those are great tools. Then we've got some more sophisticated planning we can do, like an irrevocable trust. Let's say you're worried about your assets going to the government if you need long-term skilled nursing care. A lot of times people in the, maybe they don't have $1 million. Maybe they don't have enough money that's going to sustain them over the rest of their life to pay for care. And they're worried about, paying for care, but preserving assets. An irrevocable trust might be a good plan. We kind of go over the benefits and detriments of those in our consultations that we do, because there are some detriments, but it can be a good tool if it fits. And then a supplemental needs trust is something that's critical if you have a special needs family member or person that you want to leave stuff to or support. If you have a special needs child who's in their 50s, you need to make sure that you don't have their name on anything. Because if they're receiving government benefits like Medicaid or SSI, you don't want to mess up their benefits by leaving them an inheritance. So a supplemental needs trust is a great way to protect assets to supplement the government benefits that they're receiving without getting rid of their benefits. Because if they get an inheritance, they inherit $200,000 from you, they're going to have to spend down that money before they can get their benefits back. And then they've lost their Medicaid. If they're on waivers, they've lost their Medicaid waivers, which you know about those, it's really important. They're losing that SSI income and they're just spending that inheritance. Instead of, with proper planning, putting it aside in a special trust for them, supplemental needs trust, that it's this extra pool of money that they can continue to have available for them through a third party, another family member or a trustee can give them money when they need it, or pay bills that they need, or use that money to take them on that awesome cruise to Athens. If you want to have that money available for them, instead of it just being repaid to the government, you put it in that supplemental needs trust, and it can be used for things including vacations or assistive devices that they might need. A lot of times hearing aids aren't included, or a new pair of glasses that they need, or a special chair that pushes them up as they get older, other things that you need that aren't covered by government programs. If you have this money set aside for them, they can use it to make their life better instead of just their normal $30 a month personal care needs that they're allowed to keep. It helps them out. All right, and then here's something else to consider: life care planning. Life care planning takes into account all those legal things that we just talked about, but it also includes the personal care side of it. It means a social worker looking at, hey, let's say you need care. Are you going to stay at home or are you going to move to a facility? Let's talk about the options. Who's a good caregiver for you? What are your options? How do you pay for these things? What kind of in-home caregiver is good for this? What should you be looking at? What are the costs of each? Is this particular facility a good facility? They're not going to tell you if, they're not taking care of people. Kind of having somebody to help you navigate the system, navigate the benefits. When's a good time to apply for Medicaid? What are my Medicare benefits the best? Should I get an Advantage plan? Should I be on regular Medicare? Is this going to be enough money to pay for my care if something happens to me? What about my spouse? What if I get sick but my spouse is still at home? How do we pay for this stuff? If you're going through a traditional route that a lot of people do with, somebody gets sick, they're in the hospital, a hospital social worker tells you that you need to go to a facility, go to rehab. Maybe you can't come home or you need to go home with special care. They're not going to tell you the ways that you can protect your assets, the ways that you can maximize the care that your family member's receiving, that maybe you can get more Medicare days to pay for stuff. And how do you do that? How do you keep someone in a facility when they've run out of money? There's a lot of, I don't want to necessarily say tricks, but there's a lot of ways and means that these things are done that the average person who hasn't been doing it doesn't know how to navigate the way the system works and how to maximize what you can have paid for on your behalf. So there's a lot of stuff that goes along with this. And that's what life care planning is. It's looking at all these other things that could happen as somebody is aging and starting to get sick or decline or have mental or physical decline that makes it harder for them to stay at home and care for themselves. And I don't know how much time I have left. You want to give me like a hand signal when we're getting close or something?
I would say you've got some time, and we have some very good questions in the chat box too.
Okay, very good. And then we've got life care planning. And these are kind of some of the considerations. And I'll kind of leave those up for you to look at, as far as some of the things that life care planning is for. So I'm going to pull this chat box up. I'm going to see what questions you guys have. All right. Is there a specific minimum amount of assets that should be put into a trust? It's usually the form of the asset. So I might have somebody with $2 million and it's all liquid. It's rare, but let's say it's all liquid, no real estate, no car, nothing like that. They might not need a trust. There might be some other way that we can set that up. But generally, if you own real estate or personal property vehicles like cars, boats, anything like that, those are really good candidates for a trust. So it's not as much about the dollar amount as it is about the way your assets are held. And then also your family situation. You might, even if you had $2 million in liquid assets and wouldn't otherwise need a trust, if you had a special needs family member, or you wanted things to go a certain special way, or you wanted to make sure somebody didn't get something equally, then a trust might be appropriate. So less about the dollar amount. Is there a list available of lawyers that can handle all the items you indicate are required? A good place to look is on the NELF website, and I'll type it in the chat box here to everyone. It's just NELF. I think it's NELF.org. That's a list of all the CLAs. Those are certified elder law attorneys. Those are people that have a special certification. They've gone through the testing. They have the credentials to be able to help you. So you can find a CELA, CELA in your area, wherever you live. And then the life care planning, there's a life care planning association. I'm not really sure. LCP, I think you can just kind of Google this stuff. But life care planning, there's an association with members. So you can find one in your area. If you've got a family member that's in Cleveland, Ohio, go Browns. If you've got a family member up there, I would look on, I look on the NELF.org website for a CELA up there. Or if I know that they need kind of that more holistic approach, I might look at also the life care planning and see who does life care planning. And a lot of them will have it on their website as well. So those are really good resources for you to find somebody who can kind of help you navigate this stuff. And then there's a question about repeating the trust information. If you've got something more specific, I can answer that. What's the advantage of a trust? So the advantages of a trust are maintaining government benefits for anyone who would otherwise get disqualified by an inheritance. It's putting assets into a trust might be beneficial for if you have a sick family member. So let's say my husband has dementia and I'm worried if I pass first, right? We always worry about the person that's sick passing first, but what if the other party passes first? I might want to have a trust set up in my estate planning documents that would make sure that if he does need Medicaid level care, nursing home level care, and he's not going to be private pay, that my money can be set up to supplement him through the use of a trust. Otherwise, all the money would go to him, he'd spend it down completely, and then all the money's gone. And then he's got to go on Medicaid. And he gets his, again, $30 a month, but I'd rather him have more. So planning ahead gives you more options. That's a lot of what using a trust is. It's keeping options available for your family members for their planning. And trust can be used on all kinds of things. I've got people that are separated but not divorced, but they don't want to leave stuff to this spouse that's still technically their spouse. And in South Carolina, we don't really have legal separation. So I've used trust to make sure that we're giving them the minimum that's required by law because they're not divorced until they get divorced. And a lot of them will never get divorced, but they want to leave stuff to their kids. And you got to do that. You can't cut your spouse out completely in South Carolina without doing certain things. You can't just write, I don't want anything going to them. So there's a lot of different ways that we use trust. And that's why I think they're a really good vehicle for avoiding some of these potential issues. I'm going to drop my family photos. If you weren't on early, I've got 4 boys, and my daughter was just born. She's 3 months old. That little picture with the baby is my daughter. We are really active in the community. We've been winning best law firm at 3 times. It's a picture from the party we just went to. We give back to some of the special needs organizations. We've been speaking at Therapy Place. We help out with Habitat for Humanity. I've been a Rotarian for, I don't know, since 2008, I think. 2008, I think. So however long that is, 13 years I've been a Rotarian. We're excited to be back in person. I was just talking to Mary. I'm going to come with the baby so she can hold the baby. But if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a direct message. If there's something quick I can answer for you. If you have general questions, we have more information on our website. If you want to learn more about this, we're also starting to do some videos on our YouTube channel. So if you want to subscribe to our Lawyer Lisa YouTube channel, you can learn a little more about these things. And then, when you do go talk to your attorney, you'll be educated about it. You'll be able to ask these questions. And, a lot of attorneys maybe aren't recommending some of this stuff because you're going in and you're saying, I want this. I need you to do a will for me. That's what I've heard a lot of people say. So be more open-minded and say, what's the best plan for me? You should have a plan. And what does that plan do for me? And how does it help my family? And how does it help me? So kind of maybe it's like going to the doctor. You might go to the doctor and say, here's my symptoms, but you probably shouldn't say, I need you to remove my appendix, right? You should say, here's what's wrong with me. And that's, I think, maybe how we should look at going to our lawyers about this stuff so that they can give you a better plan. Because, at that point you're saying, here's the issues I'm having. And then they can say, well, here's the prescription for that. Let's plan it this way. Keep us in mind if you have any questions. Like I said, I'm available. There's our information, our website's on there. Like I said, if you want to learn a little more about this stuff so you can be educated, we try and push out some informational videos on Facebook and YouTube and on our website. So we're happy for you to get educated and help yourself. And, like I said, nothing's 100%, but you can make it a lot better and give your family and friends a much better chance of following through with the wishes and what you want. And if anyone has any other questions, however much time we have left, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I will say, Lisa, thank you very much for your time and your knowledge today. And I'll just echo what you said is obviously you want to be a resource. Those of you on this call, Rotary is a great resource for you in all things, right? Can possibly find you information. We love doing this, and we love showcasing people around our district, outside of our district. And the goal is for you to possibly learn something maybe you didn't know, or help you with a certain issue or a topic. So I think today you covered a lot, and it was a great energy with the chat box there. So I say kudos and a great job.
Thank you. Did you guys learn something? Raise your hand if you learned something new. Good. That's wonderful.
So we do appreciate it. I'll just go into our wrap up announcements now at this time. those of you on here, thank you again for being here. Great crowd today. Next Monday, a week from today, obviously we do this program every Monday at 11 o'clock. We're in for a real treat. This gentleman just came back off a cruise. So he's going to be talking to us about all things cruising. Past District Governor Lou Mello. The following Monday, which will be the first Monday of October. It's hard to believe we're going to be saying October here very shortly. We're going to have a SEC football official, Captain Brian Murphy. He is actually a captain with the Myrtle Beach Police Department during the week, and he's an SEC football official on the weekend. He'll be with us on October 4th. Patrick Longano, that may sound familiar. If you were recently on the membership calls, Patrick spoke. He's going to be talking to us on the, I believe that's October 11th on Impact Clubs. And then October 18th, make sure I'm getting these dates correct here. I just have the names and not the dates, so apologize for that. But it is Joe Wiskowski. He is over the HERO program. So if your club recognizes a police officer of the year, firefighter of the year, any first responder of the year, they have developed these new pins. They're HERO pins. I personally have ordered one for an event at my club, and they're phenomenal. And Joe is great to work with, so he'll be on to talk about that whole project. And then I mark your calendars. You do not, obviously, you don't want to miss any of them, but I'm giving you a month's notice and a month's time to study. We're doing Halloween trivia. We're going to do that the Monday before Halloween, which will be the last Monday of October, the 25th. There may be some prizes. So, and let's make sure it's better than last year. Okay? Last year was just insanely crazy. So, all right. Lisa, if you can remove your screen share for me. Thanks again. And I'll ask District Governor Paul if he wants to talk about the conference coming up.
Sure. We are planning and continuing to plan weekly the conference, which will be held on March 11th through the 13th. So the All Club Conference. It is a Rotary family reunion. Going to be here in sunny Hilton Head. It's not so sunny today, but I promise it'll be sunny that weekend because it doesn't rain much on Hilton Head. This is one of the days it does. So that it doesn't rain in March. But we have lots of speakers planned. We have some opportunities for you to enjoy time on Hilton Head. So we get some free time on Saturday afternoon so that you know where you are, as opposed to walking in the hotel on Friday and walking out on a Sunday and you could have been anywhere. So I want to know that you to know that you were on Hilton Head. But come join us for the Rotary Family Reunion, March 11th through the 13th on sunny Hilton Head, the Sonesta Resort. Thank y'all.
Thank you, District Governor Paul. And as I said earlier, I asked you to answer a question about what type of pizza day is today. And several of you did get it right, but it is National Pepperoni Pizza Day. It is also National Care for the Kids Day. Any fried rice fans, you can get out and enjoy National Fried Rice Day today. Maybe have some afternoon punch this afternoon, as it's National Punch Day. And then I'll finally say, any string cheese fans, today's your favorite day because it's National String Cheese Day. And you're probably saying, where does this guy get this? I go right on Google. So you can go on Google too and find out what day is today. All right. With that being said, well, that will conclude today's CWRAP, and I will end with the Rotary four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thanks for being here today, guys. Have a great week. Stay cool. I think so maybe fall weather's coming over the weekend. And we'll see you back next Monday as we hear from past District Governor Lou Mello on all things cruising. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.